Welcome everybody to another educational video. Today we're just going to be reading a book, The History of the American Indians by James Adair. So we kind of got into this. We got into the beginning where they talk about this person and they try to kind of go against him. Then we went into this later on page 160 in the 10th argument. But now we're going to backtrack and we're going to go back to the first argument. Okay, so here we go. Observations and arguments in proof of the American Indians being descended from the Jews. A number of particulars present themselves in favor of a Jewish descent. But to form a true judgment and draw a solid conclusion, the following arguments must not be partially separated. Let them be distinctly considered. Then unite them together and view their force collectively. Okay, so now we're going to be getting into the first argument, alright? So that was just an opening statement. Now we're going to go first argument. This is the writings of James Adair, 1700s. As the Israelites were divided into tribes and had chiefs over them, so the Indians divide themselves. Each tribe forms a little community within the nation. And as a nation hath its particular symbol, so hath each tribe. The badge from which it is denominated, the sachem of each tribe. Now we got into that word. The sachem is the head of the tribe. Is a necessary party in conveyances and treaties, to which he affixes the mark of his tribe. So just like how we watch European movies back in the days like King Arthur or that time, the Dark Ages, they use stamps and stuff, just like the Pope. And this is so their stamp of approval, and it was in wax. And if the wax was broken, then you know somebody went and looked in it, and you know who it came from. So that's what they would use, these symbols, to know hey, this is from us, this is us. As a corporation with us doth their public seal, you see. If we go from nation to nation among them, we shall not find one who doth not leniently distinguish himself by his respected family. The genealogical names which they assume are derived either from the names of those animals whereof the cherubim are said in Revelation to be compounded, or from such creatures as are most familiar to them. They have the families of the eagle, panther, tiger, and buffalo. The family of the bear, deer, raccoon, tortoise, snake, fish, and likewise of the wind. The last, if not derived from the appearance of the divine glory, as expressed by the prophet Ezekiel, may be of Tyrian extraction. We are told in the fragment of Sanchoniathon that the Tyrians worship fire and the aerial wind, so the aerial wind as gods, and that Usos, the son of Hypsauranius, built a sacred pillar to each of them, so that if it is not of Israelitish extraction, it may be derived from the Tyrians, their neighbor, as may likewise the appellative name of fish, especially as the Indians sometimes invoke the eagle and the fish when they are curing their sick. Tyrians were the people in early times who, above all others, enriched themselves in natural element of the fish. Because the fish keeps coming up right now. The Indians, however, bear no religious respect to the animals from which they derive the names of their tribes, but will kill any of the species which when opportunity serves. The wolf the wolf indeed, several of them do not care to meddle with, believing it unlucky to kill them, which is the sole reason that few of the Indians shoot at the creature, through a notion of spoiling their guns. Considering the proximity of Tyre to Egypt, probably this must be a custom of Egypt extraction. So he's saying that this must be from Egypt, that must have came here, but they're not realizing that there was Egypt here. Egypt was here into the 18th dynasty. Alright. Probably this might be a custom of Egyptian extraction, though at the same time they are so far from esteeming it a deity, they reckon it most abominable quadruped of the whole creation. There is no tribe or individual among them, however, called by the name opossum, which is with the Cherokee still Sequoia, and with the Chickasaw and Choctaw Indians Shuka, synonyms with that of a hog. This may be more material than the first appears, as our natural histories tell us that the opossum is common in other parts of the world. Several of the old Indians assure us they formerly reckoned it as a filthy, uneatable animal, as a hog. Our traders settled among them. They are every year more corrupt in their morals, not only in this instance of eating an impure animal, but in many other religious customs of their forefathers. When we consider the various revolutions these unlettered savages are likely to have undergone amongst themselves, through a long forgotten measure of time, and that probably they have been above 20 centuries without the use of letters to convey down their tradition. And we all know they have letters. We all know they have petroglyphs. We all know they have all of these different systems. Then we know they had alloy paper that had writings on it that was burnt. These were the book burnings, the famous book burnings. Their main customs corresponding with those of the Israelites. Sufficiently clears the subject. Besides, as hath been hinted, they call some of their tribes by the names of cherubical figures that were carried on the four principal standards of Israel. I have observed with much inward satisfaction the community of goods that prevailed among them, after the patriarch manner, and that of the primitive Christians, especially with those of their own tribe. Though they are become exceedingly corrupt in most of their ancient commendable qualities, yet they are so hospitable, kind-hearted, and free, that they would share with those of their own tribe the last part of their provisions, even to a single ear of corn, and to others, if they called when they were eating, for they have no stated mealtime. An open, generous temper is a standing virtue among them. To be narrow-hearted, especially to those in want, or to any of their own family, is accounted a great crime, and to reflect scandal one of the rest of the tribes. Such wretched misers they brand with bad character, and wish them the fate of Prometheus, to have an eagle or vulture fastened to their liver, or of Tantalus starving the midst of plenty. Without being able to use it, the Cherokee Indians have pointed proverbial expressions to the same effort. Sinava Navora, the great hawk, is at home. However, it is a very rare thing to find any of them of the narrow temper, and though they do not keep one promiscuous common stock, yet it is to the very same effect for every one of his own family or tribe, and when of them is speaking, either the individual or habitations of any of his tribes, he says, he is of my house, or it is my house. Thus, when King David prayed that the divine wrath might only fall on his house, he might mean the tribe of Judah as well, on his own particular family, exclusive of the aggregate body of Israel. When the Indians are traveling in their own country, they inquire for a house of their own tribe, and if there be any, they go to it and are kindly received. Though they never saw the persons before, they eat, drink, and regale themselves with a much freedom, and at their own tables, which is the solid ground covered with a bare skin. It is clear. It is clear. It is to their unusual custom to carry nothing along with them in the journeys but a looking glass and red paint hung to their back, their gun and shoot pouch, or bow and quiver full of barbed arrows, and frequently both guns and bow, for they are generally in a state of war against each other. They are obliged as soon as able to carry those arms of defense. Every town has a state house or synedron, as the Jewish synedron, where almost every night the head men convene about public. So is that like a synagogue? Every town had a synagogue, as the Jewish synagogue. About public businesses or townspeople to feast, sing, dance, and rejoice in the divine presence, as willfully be he described hereafter. And if a stranger calls there, he is treated with the greatest civility and hearty kindness. He is sure to find plenty of their simple home fare, and a large cane bed covered with the softened skins of bears or buffaloes to sleep on. But when his lineage is known to the people, his relation, if he has any there, addresses him in familiar way, invites him home, and treats him as his kinsman. When a warrior dies a natural death, the war drums, musical instruments, and all other kinds of diversions are laid aside for the space of 3 days and nights. In this time of mourning for the dead, I have known some of the frolicsome young sparks to ask the name of the descended person's tribe, and once being told it was a raccoon, one of them scornfully replied, "Then let us away to another town and cheer ourselves with those who have no reason to weep. For why should we make our hearts weigh heavy for an ugly dead raccoon?" But notwithstanding, they are commonly negligent of any other tribes but their own. That's how we are today. We can give a shit about anybody but our own. I mean, my city, my town. I don't care about you, my town. They regard their own particular lineal descent in as strict and manner as did the Hebrew nation. That's argument 1. We'll get into all the arguments, okay? Next video will be argument 2.